Hello everyone. I brought with me a Hoberman sphere today to explain this idea that when one part of us moves, every part of us moves. If I just take any part of this sphere and open it up, you can just see that the whole sphere moves open. And then if I just push on one point, everything comes together again. And if I kind of pinch 2 points together, then it's very difficult for this to have that same kind of idea. And by pinching these points together, I'm just kind of really a metaphor for tension in the body. So as soon as we're really tense, we're really restricting that ability for our body to really open up. And the other part of this is that we talked about opening the joints. And I'd like you to get this idea that our joints are opening, and when they open, it creates this marvelous, expansive, energetic field around us. So again, we'll just bring that back down again. I think that looks really nice. It's a good image to have because we want this energy to move through us, and then we want this energy to vibrate in a harmonious, peaceful way. And so we can just imagine and really experience almost viscerally this movement that as we expand and open our joints through our body, as we breathe in as well, we just open up and then come together again. So very much mimicking this compressing the pearl movement that we've been working on, this very foundational movement in Qigong, that we have the energy between our hands, and that as we open up, I'm not going to go as far as I do in the actual compressing the pearl movement, but close enough, and I open up and I come to my heart center, and then I come down, and then I bring it back down into the lower belly, the lower dantian as it's called. So that kind of, I want you to feel that openness. And it begins really with this Lao Gong, this center of the palm here, that we open that up and then allow that to open up all of our joints, including the joints between our spine. Another little demonstration is this here. Now, what's interesting about this is that you can see the wooden dowels, but the wooden dowels are suspended in these elastic bands. And this is a very good metaphor or example or replica, whatever the word is, I've forgotten right now, of just how our body moves. We tend to think of ourselves as having bones stacked on one another, but that's really inaccurate. We're more bones floating in a fascial matrix. Fascia is our connective tissue, our tendons, and all of that is really fascia. And the fascia tends to have a kind of resilience about it. And so if I was to drop this, then it would still retain its shape, even though none of these wooden dowels are touching each other. If I push them together, again, we have this idea that everything is moving. One thing moves, everything moves. So I want you to get that idea that we're bones floating in this fascia or fascial matrix, and that fascia is tensioned within our body. Now, to me, there's a very big difference between tension and tensioned. A very good example, a rather nasty example actually, but one of the chefs in the kitchen at Peace Awareness Labyrinth and Gardens cut his thumb, cut the tendon in his thumb. Now, if I'm kind of got my thumb like this, for example, I could say this thumb is very, very relaxed. But the reason it can move in this way is because it's tensioned. And what happened is when he cut his thumb, the problem wasn't that they couldn't reattach the tendon. The problem was they couldn't find the tendon because it had gone back in, because it's tensioned, right? It's fixed there so that it can move. So it got more complicated. They did find the tension, but they had to open up his wrist, find the tension, and then reattach the thumb. And thank God he's quite well and very functional, no problem. But that idea that it kind of disappeared shows that it's tense. Another example is when they do heart operations, they open up the chest. They don't kind of cut through the sternum and then pull the chest open. As soon as they cut that sternum, the chest pops open because it's tensioned. Okay, so we have all of this tensioned area of our body, and we're taking advantage of that and not collapsing them, but just maintaining them in a way, and it maintains a certain buoyancy when we do that. So very important to keep in mind. Now again, let's just go back to having our hands in this position here and feeling that energy between our palms. Now we do this in a couple of ways. We breathe in, and then as we breathe in, we just extend it by about an inch or two, and then as we breathe out, we kind of compress it a little bit. And you can start to feel that kind of almost that magnetic energy, in a sense of repulsive magnets repulsing each other, or you may even feel it like a density, or some people almost like has this fluidic feeling to it. And we can just amplify it by just breathing in and having this idea, first of all, relaxing, opening up the Lao Gong. Again, opening, in a sense, we're not really stretching, because stretching implies force. We're kind of, I prefer the word like opening, and the opening opens out. So it's just that slight opening, that yawning almost. It's almost like, imagine your hands are yawning, but they're not stretching, they're not forcing. Very, very important, very, very important difference, because as soon as we go into forcing and tension, we lose the art of Qigong or Tai Chi Chuan or any of the other kind of what's called internal arts, the arts that work more with letting go than they do with muscular force. It's a different kind of energetic. So if you're doing karate or some of those things, or boxing, you're using a lot of muscular force. Not that that is bad at all, it's just a different way of moving. What we're doing is releasing the muscular force and opening up the tendon, the fascial matrix of the body, so that we can open the joints and allow that energy to flow through. So we're opening up, our palms face together. We breathe in, and we breathe in as much as we can through the whole body. Almost, again, this idea of the sponge, that your body actually is breathing in through the pores. And then as you breathe, you compress, feel that energy, feel what it's like. And then you can also put light into that energy, light for the highest good that we work with. And as soon as I do that, I can really start feeling that much point, just that thought of light there, boom. It really increases and amplifies it for the highest good. It's just something as simple as that. Now that's a strong energy field. And really what we want to do is be aware of that as we move. That's really the key here. In the first movement of Tai Chi Chuan, we kind of move this ball and we start to take that shape here. That's the first opening movement of Tai Chi. And we'll do that in a few more episodes to come. But when we do that, it's very easy to lose that focus, to lose that feeling, and we must maintain that feeling. Otherwise, we're just flying, our arms are just flying all over the place. I mean, we can move our arms beautifully and do all of these flowing movements, and if someone describes Tai Chi, they go, yes, I do Tai Chi and all of this. And it's just like, no, you're not. You're just moving your arms in very nice flowing ways. I mean, it looks very lovely, but it's not Tai Chi Chuan. Tai Chi Chuan is a martial art, and so we're really going to be on purpose, but we also want to stay connected with that energy. And this takes practice. It's not like it's automatic. It's not something that we normally think about. But when we stay connected with that energy, then we can do that first movement in Tai Chi Chuan called ward off left. Now, In Tai Chi Chuan, we maintain our hands in what's called a fair lady's hands, or beautiful lady's hands. And that is kind of this softness, but it's not this collapse, not a floppy hand. It's that very fine line between stiffness, which would be here, and floppy. It's maintaining that openness, and it's exactly what we're talking about. So as I move into fair lady's hand, then you can start to feel that energy move through. Remember, we talked about the body being like a tuning fork. We want to keep all of these joints open. Let's go back to compressing the pearl for a moment, because it does give us a good way of looking at things. We want to be on top of ourselves. I'll move back here a little bit so you can see. We want to have the feet facing forward, the knees over the feet. We want to be on top of ourselves. We don't want to be behind, like this. We want to be the shoulders on top of the hips. And something that I haven't talked about a little bit is this area, this crease here. If I was wearing a bikini, which I don't often do, I must admit, but if I was, the bikini line would be this area called the qua. The qua, very important. If you've done yoga or any form of functional movement, it's like almost like where you would hip hinge. You would hip hinge in there. So in a way, this softens and opens up, and that's critical. As soon as this tightens here, then and closes, then very easily lose my grounding. And very important that we're on top of ourselves, because we want to feel the ground. And while we have Lao Gong here, our equivalent in our feet is Kidney 1 or Bubbling Well or Yong Tuan. Now that is very important that we feel a little bit on the forefoot, and we want to feel our feet completely on the ground, the knees over the feet, the qua open. And as the qua opens, there's a tendency for the tushy to stick out a little bit, and we want to have that tailbone come downwards. We don't want to be thrusting, we want to be downwards. As that comes downwards, we want our shoulders to relax. Now, here's the thing. We want our shoulder blades to drop downwards. We don't want them coming in or doing anything too crazy. We want them coming downwards. And so when we do the compressing the pearl movement, we want our arms nice and open so that we're not constricting this back, so that our shoulder blades don't start to come together this way. We want them to be down. So if I have my arms here, there's a point at which I can go, oh, there's my shoulder blades are coming together now. So that's not good. I mean, we don't want that. It's not bad. I mean, we just don't want that. We want to have that area between the shoulder blades open. Such an important area. I would love you to get clear about this in your daily movements, to keep the area between the shoulder blades open, and you'll find that it starts to also support your head. Remember, we want that head floating. Very important. If you took your, where your earlobes are, just right here, it's called the mastoid bone, and if you kind of just push upwards there, it's kind of close to the point where the head rests, the skull rests on the atlas bone, the atlas and axis. And a lot of us use our neck like this, and really we want to have our head on top. We talked about this last time. We want to have our head on top of our spine, and we can just gently push it up a little bit there, not using too much force, but just enough. And just so we have that nice extension of the neck without forcing, and that it's on top of our shoulders rather than being like this. And what supports that is if that area between our shoulder blades can be open. And as I'm saying this and as I'm talking you through this, I'm feeling my whole body open up. So we really want that to be continued. We want to have this head up here. Another way of looking at this is to take your palate, your soft palate, go back behind your palate, and at that point is where the skull meets the vertebrae, and just feel that. And you can tell, because then you can nod on that point. It's really a feeling, and once you've got it, then everything else starts to release. And so we'll want to start with the hands in front of our lower belly and our center of gravity down in this spot here. We don't want to be down like this. We're not doing a big squatting exercise. We want to just feel that where our center of gravity meets, just low enough that we feel pretty solid here. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to come up and we're going to rise up a little bit and come into our heart center. And we do that through the motion of our hands. Again, all of these points need to be very much attended to. Again, we just keep that energy, we feel that energy ball between our hands. We just take a moment to breathe in that energy and connect. Now, as I breathe in through my nose, I come up, my arms come up, shoulders are open, I come to my heart center, and then I come down again. Very easy movement, very not complicated, but plenty of complexity within this to hold the energy. For example, I want to come back down. As I exhale, my hands want to arrive at my center of gravity, just below my belly button at the same time. Then I push into my feet and my arms float up. I'm opening my joints. Again, very important to keep Lao Gong going. And now I come back and I'm squeezing that as if I'm squeezing a ball, but not with any force. I'm just opening, opening, opening. I come down, boom. No tightening of the tushy at all. Tushy completely relaxed, muscles relaxed. Only this kind of opening, this feeling of kind of almost like yawning, but you're not really yawning. You want to stretch, but you're not really stretching. You're just opening the joints, and then you come back again. As you come back down, you're leading with the tailbone. Again, you're not back here, you're here. You're leading the tailbone. The tailbone is leading down, and then as we come up, the head is leading. We want to keep that openness of the spine. Just open and then come back down again. Just relaxed. And as you're doing it, you may want to stop at certain points where you kind of go, oh, wait a minute, I'm getting a little tense, or have I lost touch with the energy, or am I getting into chicken wings? We want the elbows to be outside of the wrists so that I'm constantly coming back in there. I've got this nice kind of rounded shape, and it's all happening in the front of the body, although my back is nice and open as well. I'm not constricted back here. My shoulders are open. I've got all of this length here, and I'm feeling much, much more relaxed just in a few movements because I'm just working with that energy. Again, qua open, tailbone relaxed, downwards. Head up. you don't want to kind of, one of the thoughts you can do is you can breathe in and arrive too soon, and you want to really coordinate with, as you breathe in, you arrive at the peak of the inhalation here, and then as you breathe out, as you exhale and you come down, remember you're sinking down, you want to arrive, your hands, your breath, and your center of gravity are all coordinated. And again, see, one of my faults is as I'm talking and I'm thinking, my head is I can feel my head going forward again. I want to get that head back so that I've got that nice elongation. Shoulders again, very relaxed, feeling a nice flow through my body. And again, do not collapse here. I've lost connection with the energy. It's just gone. And so I have to kind of build it again. Breathe in. Breathe into that ball. Place the light into the ball for the highest good. Feel that vital energy. Make sure the Lao Gong's open, so the fingers are open. Start feeling all these areas of your body opening up. And it takes a while to open them up, but it's really worthwhile. It's amazing for the health. And it becomes a very nice flow, very easy and connected. And you start feeling all of that energy moving through your whole body. And of course, it's very easy to feel the stuck places. I can feel places in my spine because I've been sitting a lot today, a lot of time spent on the email. And occasionally, I'm getting up, I'm stretching my spine, but I can feel particularly just in my shoulders that I could be opening up a little more, opening up. There you go. Sometimes just breathe into it, but not forcing myself to open, just telling myself, almost like coaxing, hey, come on, you can just relax just a little more, and then come back down again, and again, connect, but always staying connected with the ground and on top of myself, never going back like this, so that my shoulders are behind my hips, I'm on top of myself, my quad is nice and open, tailbone is dropped, my head from above, all points that need to be constantly monitored and have to be developed as a very important habit as we go forward in this kind of foundational Qigong, Tai Chi Chuan principles. And again, once we've got this ball established here, we're going to kind of, as we move into Tai Chi Chuan, we want to kind of get that spiraling movement. I want you to, it's just worthwhile just having a moment of just feeling that ball, moving it so that the hands are on top of each other and realizing what you need to do through your whole body. It's not a question of just doing this. Again, everything needs to be moving, including my feet, my hips, and my spine is opening up, my head. Everything is moving together. Come back again this way. Everything again moving together. And I want to be able to see if I can maintain that fluidic or that magnetic feeling between my palms. Very easy to lose as we begin to move. And so that's why the value of this is to train us to maintain that energy in daily movement. And then we can just bring our hands together down here. And then a nice closing meditation, we'll go more into this, is to bring the energy up. And then we come above our heads. Now I don't have to raise my arms, I can keep my shoulders down. I keep above kind of where my eyebrows are, and I bring the energy down through my body. Down, and feel it go downwards. Circle around my waist. The energy keeps going down into the feet, circles around my waist, and now I bring it up again. Down through my body, just feeling it cleansing out my whole body, my whole body relaxing. Then around my waist, up again. Feel that connection to the energy. Down. And then I can just pause here for a moment. Just relax. My hands just still open, my shoulders still open. Again, feeling that joint open. Just everything being very, very beautifully stable and open. That is the key. Have I used the word open enough? Very, very important. Very important indeed. That's where the health and the vitality come in, and we just breathe into that like we're a sponge. If you just feel that breath go through the whole body, you can just breathe into your soles of your feet, breathe into everywhere really. Just like we had that Hoberman sphere, and we just feel like, oh goodness, just a lot of energy, and it almost helps us to be suspended there. And then with that energy in our hands now, we can just place it anywhere that maybe, if we have digestive problems, we can just place it over our tummies. If we want to just bring that loving into our hearts, or perhaps we just want to put it in our throat or our head or our shoulders. We've really got our hands full of beautiful energy. We just want to put it all through our body. Just really love ourselves, give ourselves a big hug. And then at the end, just is very nice just to close with having our hands in our lower bellies. We'll go deeper into all of this, but want you to get some ideas from what we've talked about. So hopefully you'll be able to practice some of this and play around with it a little bit and feel that energy. There's, the essence of Qigong is actually in the standing practices. People stand, and you've seen probably people have this posture where they're standing like this. Kind of sometimes called Jamjong, or sometimes people call it this tree hugging posture and all of that. And they're just standing because they're circulating the energy. But if you're just standing and you don't know what you're doing, then it's just like, it's kind of pointless really. But with what we're doing and we're learning and we'll continue, then the standing takes on tremendous meaning and significance. And we can just stand for quite a long time, but be regenerative in our standing, if that's something you want to do. And it becomes a very, very important health exercise and is used in China. There's hospitals dedicated to healing with standing Qigong. Just the simple act of standing. There's just very simple ways to stand. And we'll go over some of them the next time we're together. So there's the standing aspect, and then there's moving aspect. But it's all about connecting with that opening. And just during the day, if you find yourself getting kind of contracted like this, take a moment to go, oh, wait a minute, stand up from your desk or wherever you're going, or whatever you're doing, and just start going through this. It's just like, it's healthy for your body. And if you have an opportunity, I'm going to open my joints, come into my heart, now come down, sink down a little bit, make sure I'm sunk, and then come back down into my lower body. Am I open? Is my spine open? Am I dropping my tailbone? And is my head suspended from above? You can do some little adjustments on your head. Remember your shoulder blades sinking down, and you don't want to be puffing out your chest or your lower ribs here. So you want to just to be on top of yourself, contained and really centered. And when you're on top of yourself, if I'm like this, it's a different presentation than when I'm like this. And the reason is because right now I'm grounded, and you'll feel that difference, as opposed to here where I'm still the same person, but it's not the same kind of energy that's coming here. And that's how you can tell. You say, oh, wait a minute, he's here, he's present. And that's because I'm on top of myself. I'm with myself right now. Here, I'm disassociated from myself. Or I could be going like this, and it could be like this. I'm not connected. Or like this, I've disconnected again. If If you see someone walking along like this, you know that they're thinking, they're in their heads. We want to be in our whole bodies. The whole body is the heart. Anyway, until the next time, God bless you.